What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Around the Metaverse, our weekly show where we bring together some of the best content creators from the blockchain and NFT gaming community, talk about all the recent news, and give you guys everything you need to know to stay up to date. My name's Adom. I'll be your host today, but more importantly, we got another great group of cast for y'all and another great episode. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. First and foremost, we got CryptoStache in the house. How's it going, my friend?
Yo, doing it Monday like always. I'm looking forward to vacation. Guys, Stachers, I'm not going to be here next week, so get all the live stream stashness goodness you can get in this week. I'll be gone. I'm gonna be in Jamaica next week.
Stache is
Ooh,
gonna have his toes in the sand and no worries in the world, man. No, but we got a little bit of content, that we'll be putting out next week, so you stashes won't be totally, left in the dark. But get what you can in now. And of course, we have a great group of guests for y'all today. We got some returning faces. We got Brycent, OG Web3 gamer and content creator, back for another episode of Around the Metaverse. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Thanks for having me back. It's a vibe to be here. Love CryptoStache, love the show, and it's cool to be able to talk about Web3 gaming. So feel very honored to be back with you guys.
Absolutely, man. We love to have you. And then, of course, we have some returning friendly faces that you guys probably recognize. We got Miss Teen Crypto in the house, keeping it zesty as always. How are you?
I'm chilling. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be vibing with you guys today.
Of course. Another great Monday this summer. I know it's hot for some of y'all out there, but we're chilling over here in the metaverse. And then last but certainly not least, we got our good old friend and OG from around the metaverse, Zueljin in the house. How are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing quite well. Enjoying the air conditioning. I hope all of y'all are staying cool out there as well.
I know unprecedented heat for our friends across the pond. We were looking to have some of y'all on the show today, but I guess it's too hot out there. But no, we got a good group today and a lot of topics to go over. But before we actually jump into everything, let me give a huge shout out to our sponsor for this episode of Around the Metaverse, Illuvium. For those of you who don't know, but I'm sure most of you do, Illuvium is one of the leaders in the AAA blockchain gaming space. They've continued to deliver on all of their promises, essentially, over and over again. And they actually just released some new info on their Illuvatars. We're going to show you guys a quick clip of what that looks like right now, and then I'm going to let you guys know where to check that info out afterwards. But let's. Now, Illuvatars are going to be Illuvium's very first PFPs they're going to be dropping here soon. That clip you just saw was some of the artwork from the drop, and they actually just released on their YouTube channel a full AMA with the lead concept artist behind that art and some of the art from the game, going over everything that inspired it and everything they're aiming to achieve with the Illuvium art going into that game. I know it's one of our favorites here on the show. And we thank you guys over at Illuvium for sponsoring this episode. And for you watching, go check out their channel and support them too. But let's jump right into this episode here. We got a lot of topics to talk about, some interesting stories. Polygon getting the full Disney experience. Bored Ape Yacht Club Other Side, a stress test. Was it a success or not? And lastly, we're going to be talking about what really is a metaverse. But let's jump right into things. First and foremost, Polygon getting the Disney experience. They actually just released an announcement that Disney is putting on their Accelerator program, which is meant to bring in businesses that are innovating and kind of give them some of the key tips and tricks on what the Disney secret sauce. You know what I mean? They invite people in behind closed doors, let them know how Disney got to be where they are and what they should be doing to kind of get in good with Disney. And Polygon was actually one of the only blockchain-focused companies that was invited. So there were a couple other Web3 type companies that deal with like AR or services for NFTs and things, but Polygon was the only blockchain specific company that was invited to this program. I want to get your guys' opinions on what this might mean for them and what we might see coming from Disney in the future, given this announcement. So Stache, let me start with you. I mean, why do you think Polygon was one of the only blockchain-specific companies invited to the Disney workshop? What does Polygon have going for them that made them stand out to Disney, do you think?
You know, I'm actually a little surprised that Disney went so small with this accelerator and that it was so unfocused on existing, Web3 companies, right? We looking at the lineup here of the different companies. I mean, you're right. Like the only one that really, speaks to me and says, "Hey, they have something going," is Polygon. And so it's weird to see that this is a Web3 accelerator, but all the companies are not necessarily Web3. But at the same time, I mean, I guess that umbrella term Web3 has really come to like also include things like AR and VR and some other things that maybe we don't think of as Web3 because we're kind of in it. But I think a lot of people in the industry would kind of consider those things as being Web3 as well. But I mean, I think it's a massive play when you talk about technology wise. Polygon is definitely one of the leaders at the forefront for what we're seeing with scaling solutions for Ethereum. And they've done a lot of good stuff here recently. They've made some really great acquisitions with the team, and so seeing them partner there, I think that it may really just signal that this is the partner that they want to work with. You're right. It's not Polygon, Immutable X, and a bunch. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bunch of others. Blockchain based solutions. So to me, what this shows is that they are going to be betting on Polygon here for the future, and for a company like Disney to include such a small amount of companies. I mean, think about this. All these companies they included, none of them are really like large scale, like they're not massive corporations. So these are all companies that easily could be a target for Disney to be buying out in the future using this Web3 accelerator as kind of a test for something like that. And that's why I see as a very viable solution here is they want to bring them on board, get familiar with their teams, how they work on a more intimate level by using this as accelerator. And then these are our targets for acquisitions, right? And so it definitely could be in doing that, bringing Polygon on. If they acquired Polygon, that could be, huge play for going towards, what they consider to be a metaverse play, so.
Well, yeah, and I think it's interesting too because this isn't necessarily the first time we've seen. I mean, this literally isn't the first time we've seen Disney kind of dip their toe in the NFT world or the Web3 metaverse world. They've actually been kind of rolling out a few things here and there, maybe not as notorious as this announcement here, but Disney's actually has a ton of NFTs out on Vivi right now. They've done drops for Marvel. For Star Wars, for many of the movies that have come out recently. And I'm curious to see kind of why they're making this, or like Vivi wasn't included on this in this accelerator program. And I'm curious to know why. Brycent, what do you think is Disney's play here? I mean, what do you see as being Vivi's future with Disney if they aren't invited to this accelerator and are, now kind of second in line to what it looks like might be Polygon?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that they're probably in trouble in some senses in terms of I can't see a world where if Polygon is in this, I think Disney is then kind of subjecting themselves to saying that Polygon is the chain that they're most interested in working with in some capacity. But I mean, I think you attributed most of this to the Fwiz effect in terms of what he's been able to accomplish. It didn't start with Disney; it started with Meta, which I think is actually probably an even bigger play than Disney in terms of building out an exclusive partnership there, which then expanded into Reddit, and now they knock on another titan, another giant, and getting Disney underway and on board. So I think it's just another way for them to figure out which ecosystem works best in terms of bringing Web 2 culture into Web 3 in a way that is transparent, open, and honest. And if you think about that, at the forefront of that is Polygon, was led head of gaming at YouTube, really built out that category, and looking at what Disney brings in and ushers in a future of gaming. Working with Polygon over these other chains, I think makes the most sense for what they've been doing. But to be honest, Fwiz has been, for the most part, wiping the floor with these other chains and bringing in those successful partners. If you look at, the time when he started, it was around the same time that Ronan brought in a new business development person. And other than that, outside of Robbie at Immutable, you don't really see much action happening on the partnership front. So just another Fwiz masterclass. And I think that Disney understands that the future of games relying on chains to be successful will start with Polygon. They continue to build in this way. And this isn't coming from an over Polygon maxi. I think the chain is great, but I also like Immutable's chances in the longer term landscape. But Well done, Fwiz, and I think that the partnership is going to lead to something spectacular. But to Stash's point, I don't see much value in the other companies involved. To be honest, I don't know much about them, but I think they could have done much better in bringing up along companies that very much could rival Polygon or be on the same level or class. Maybe bringing in a LooksRare to talk about how decentralization in marketplaces is important. You have a decentralized chain, why not bring on a decentralized marketplace? So I think that Disney kind of dropped the ball in some senses, but putting Polygon on that list definitely helped build up the stature a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say real quick, just to piggyback on that, and one of the things too is when you kind of look at these different companies that they're bringing on board, there's definitely some sort of play. Like what we don't know in this situation is what is Disney's play here? Why do they even create a Web3 accelerator? Zueljin, is that you raising your hand? Zueljin, go. No,
No. I'm not raising my hand. That's Dom's move.
He's fixing the light.
I just yell when I need attention.
We Dub G in chat was asking what other companies were included on the list. As per the announcement, a couple that were listed were FlickPay, a social app that enables users to discover NFTs tied to real-world locations. Mm-hmm. So another Web3 brand or business, but not specific blockchain-wise. And then Lockverse, a platform that empowers creators and brands to create culture-defining stories and experiences. And then a couple other VR ones. I think Obsess platform, which is a 3D immersive virtual stores kind of software suite. So a few different things, but Polygon was the only blockchain company invited onto this.
Those companies all sound like companies that Disney would be acquiring. Like legit, when I listen to that list and the things that they're doing and like what level they're at and where they're at, like this is legit a list of companies that Disney is going to acquire over the next year or two. Like that's the only way I see it. I don't know, man. I want to hear what you guys think.
Stache is piecing together the clues, and the Disney executives are sweating that he's already on to them. They're going to snap up Polygon, and that's going to be said and done. They cornered the metaverse world. No, but MTC, let me ask you. I mean, what are your thoughts on this partnership, and what are your thoughts on Disney inviting these companies to this accelerator program? I mean, Disney's, like I said, have kind of dabbled a bit already in NFTs in the metaverse, but do you see them going all in?
I mean, it would be smart for them, right? There's so many things that they can merge, the physical and the digital. Just look at every piece of merch that they sell. If they added that, digital representation where people could see when it was purchased and when it was, moved around and things like that. There's so many things to do, especially, when you look at old toys as well that you were able to buy in the store. I forgot what they were called off the top of my head, but you were able to pick them up in the store and then enter them into a game. Now, I think it's pretty smart of Disney to just capitalize on all of this because they have so much market share in all these different sectors. And on top of that, with Polygon, it's very smart of them because Polygon is making all these big partnerships, especially with Meta. So I feel like they want to kind of get in the mix. It's smart of Disney to keep their eyes on these type of things. Maybe they're getting an idea of what they want to invest in. Maybe it won't necessarily be these startups, but they want to expand and kind of get an idea of what these people are working on before everyone else knows. So I think it's pretty smart.
Or you know what they could also be doing too? They could be going the Amazon route, the Jeff Bezos route, and right, they invite all these companies, to this accelerator program. They get all the key insights onto how they're setting up their businesses and their new products and services, and then they just make them all themselves because they have the time and the resources.
Or it could be the other way around where these projects are actually using Disney for their expertise to see what their opinions are and see what the Web 2 people are thinking about Web 3 and try to merge that information, go off on their own and create an empire. So it could be a mix of both.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what Disney, what sort of the end result of this program is and kind of the next moves we see. Zueljin, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think happens after this? I mean, what do you think Disney's next move is here?
I think they digitize all of the stuff that they currently use for access to the parks, from tickets and movies, intellectual property, and digital versions of all of everything that used to be on VHS now can be immortalized in NFTs for collector's items. And with Disney, like the amount that people pay just for special privileges in the park and for collector's item merchandise, it's it just goes to show that investors would be able to do that. If you know that Disney is going to be partnered in blockchain and they've already have connections that are going to be connected to the same blockchain, like Facebook's new Meta, for instance, that's a significant piece of reach. You might be able to speculate on things that are going to be produced and sent in that metaverse. Like if both of them were partnered with Polygon, for instance, where's Mickey Mouse going to live on the metaverse? It's going to be in Meta. That probably first, right? It just goes to show, they're all going to have dinner together tonight, and they're going to ask, old what's his name, Mark Zuckerberg, hey man, what's it going to take to get Mickey and Donald, front and center in Meta? It's like, well, let's talk about it, bro. So I think in general, it's good reach for both of them, and Matic has every partnership in the world. Like, I remember when I was just getting into crypto, I was like, Matic's partnered with everybody. They have a lot of reach. They've already partnered with a lot of projects. In terms of existing blockchains that they can go with, I don't know the full extent of other layer twos and who they're partnered with. But if you were to just ask me who has more connections, Immutable X or Matic, I would say Matic every day, and a lot of gaming stuff too. So,
No, and I think it's a good point you bring up there, and I'm curious to see what happens with Disney after this, especially like if they start to make their own like metaverse play. And you know what I would love to see? Not Meta's Horizon Worlds, which I actually think they're kind of moving away from that. But I would love to see Disney and the Sandbox partner. I think that would be an obvious collaboration right there. That would make great sense for Mickey and Goofy's first appearance in the metaverse, more so than Zuck's Meta.
100%, man.
Yeah.
Disney plus Sandbox would be great, man. I mean, Facebook's metaverse is doomed to fail, man. And the reason why is because, like, in general, Facebook is just it's a brand that's on its way out. They're trying to rebrand and like pivot a little bit here, but in general, like, Facebook really is a brand that's on its way out. I mean, yeah, they still have tons and tons of users, but the apathy of the users is significant. People are on there, they're still using it, but nobody's excited about it. And that's what they're trying to do with this kind of rebrand, is breathe a little bit more life back into it. But I don't see their metaverse really being the one. I could be wrong, man. I just don't see it happening. And so, I think Disney, why would Disney want to be beholden to Facebook for that either? Like, why would they want to be beholden to Facebook? Like, nobody wants to, really. I think that's the thing, is that we're so new that everyone wants to be like the go-to spot, and we're at that point where we don't really know what that's going to be, what technology it's going to be, what company is going to be the, go-to thing. And because it just hasn't risen to the top yet. But, having Polygon on your side don't hurt.
Stache, do you think that's a Web3 mentality just because we're in the know, or do you think that's general consensus for people that aren't in the know?
I mean, I would say that that's just general business practice. When you look at kind of the way businesses operate, is nobody really wants to be the, like everyone wants to be the go-to place, but nobody wants to be the pioneer, right? Because the pioneers are the ones that always get swept underneath the rug. They do all the hard work and lay the groundwork, and then somebody comes, it's like, you got MySpace, right? So you come along and you do all you lay the groundwork, and then boom, you get MySpace, and then Facebook comes along and crushes you. And they really took the idea beyond where it was in its infancy. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now with crypto in general, is that it's very much at its infancy. And there are companies that are kind of waiting until that perfect time where they can swoop in like a shark and take all the glory away and steal all the thunder of all these early builders. And, but if you want to be in that next level of metaverse, do you just say, yeah, as Disney, do you say, okay, Facebook, yeah, sure, man, we'll just sit back and you guys build the metaverse. We totally trust you, and we're going to let you use all of our IP and everything that comes with it. Like, that doesn't sound like Disney to me at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like
it'll definitely be a money thing.
Shit.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of a marketing potential, just because that they're going to have some impact. They might not be able to do it as well as a lot of other metaverses, but they're definitely going to get some reach out the gate. They're going to throw money at it until they get results. They might go bankrupt doing it, but they'll do it. It's like Walmart. They could just buy reach at this point. I think because they're such a big company.
And I think, like, to your point on that whole, like, the Disney and Meta discussion, Meta doesn't have much of anything that provides any value to what Web3 is doing, which is why they had to go out and buy the name Meta and truly try to own what the idea of the metaverse is. But to be completely honest, there's never going to be a point where VR headsets are the mainstream way that people interact or the way that people game more so than current traditional means and methods. I'm not going to put on a VR headset to chat with you if I can just do it directly in Discord. And guess what? It doesn't take Facebook owning Discord for me to be able to do that. So to your point, Stache, I do think that they are in a position where they're making a lot of investments and some of them may pay off and maybe they are too big to fail. But I don't think the VR method is where we are truly going to see things take place. I think augmented reality has a future in the space, but VR isn't going to be as prevalent as people think, in my opinion.
It's too bulky right now. I mean, you're right. In its current form, it's just too damn bulky. But when we have hardware that really matches with the direction we want to go, that's when we'll see VR really take off because it'll be seamless. Everyone will want to wear this hardware. They'll want to have it on. It will be a status symbol to have this, and everyone will be rocking it. It's just like your iPhone. You don't want to go around with like your flip phone, your clam phone, your StarTAC, and you're like everyone else has a smartphone. It's like you got to keep your shit hidden. You feel like you feel like all cheap. So that's the thing. Is same thing when we have that next iteration of devices, that next generation of devices that is a VR and AR enabled. It should be so seamless and so easy to wear and to be a part of that it makes the experience easier or better, not bulkier and clunkier. And that's where we're at. Same thing with crypto. We're at the bulky, clunky stage. We need to get to the streamlined, nice looking stage, like where phones are now versus where phones were at in 1995. Cell phones.
I mean,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too, because even now, a lot of people are trying to integrate AR into a lot of their platforms, but even that's so clunky, AR.
Yeah.
I could actually see Disney trying to do something with AR where they have like their own Disneylands, meaning that you could probably own a part of the park and customize it. And when you're logged into some account or whatever in AR, you could see your ads or whatever you want to put there, or like a filter at your spot. I think that would be something.
Look at all the companies that they're acquiring. Literally, they're literally giving you the secrents right here. Every company in those 5 companies, they all could combine together to make a future use case for Disney in ways that are just unfathomable to most people. But those 5 companies definitely lay a little bit of a groundwork or a little crumb trail for you to follow and say, what could Disney be working on? Like, why, even if they aren't going to acquire them, why are they going to be in a Web3 accelerator with them to do what? Once again, we don't have that information. What are they going to be doing together? Web3 accelerator for what fucking purpose? They don't say. We don't know. But that's what I think, man. I think that this is Disney putting together some of the companies that are going to be their play for whatever they're going to be doing here in AR, VR, the metaverse, and NFTs.
Secret agent Stache is on the case, guys. We're going to figure out exactly what Disney's up to and get you all the top secret information, so you guys know exactly what to expect their next move is. But let's jump into our next topic here, talking about the Bored Ape Yacht Club Other Side stress test and what happened after the initial stress test they did. They did an initial I forget what they called the play test, but they dove into their into their metaverse. First trip to the other side. And there's some footage out there circulating around. If you haven't seen it yet, it actually looks pretty good, to be fair. I mean, the graphics look pretty good. It looked pretty smooth from the footage for how many players were on there. But I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts, especially with, recently coming off of a lot of controversy. So Brycent, let me start with you. I mean, let me know if you got a chance to see that clip of the Bored Ape Yacht Club first dive. But do you think their other side playtest was a success relative to like the size and value of their brand being, basically the top most valued NFT collection?
So I think it depends on how you look at it. Being someone, and everyone in this chat has seen it in terms of where NFT gaming is. Being someone who hasn't seen really pretty much any good games, we have a couple of things that are decent, but nothing that's quite good up until this point that I'm like hanging my hat on or thinking is going to transcend time. I think Big Time is a good one, but where we are, I think that the other side demo, or however you want to call it, the launch, just in that couple of clips that I've seen, is already better than 97% of everything that we've seen in NFT gaming, and we don't even know if it's a damn game or not. And this is coming from somebody who enjoys games. Hell, I would rather run around in that metaverse than run around in some of the things that I've seen, which is insane to say up until this point. And I don't own an ape. I don't own any land in what they're doing. So I'm just saying this as a prospective person who's like, wow, from the outside looking in, they've done a great job, whether they bought the game and bought some IP from someone else and then repurposed it with their own skins, or whether they just went ahead and built it themselves. I'm thinking the latter, not the, but I think they did pretty well. My only two caveats would be is, a company that's worth, I don't know, multi-billions of dollars. I think that is a bit lackluster that they haven't reached out to try to create a world where people who aren't holders start learning about what this ecosystem is. Because if it's just going to be a bro fest of Bored Ape Yacht Club monkeys and ape holders the entire time, I don't give a damn what they put on the metaverse or slap onto it. It's going to be a lot harder for them to take off. I think that you have really cool IP. You want people to build games, want it, all that good stuff. Great, whatever the case may be. I really don't give a shit about that, because at this point, the question is, how do you go about getting true adoption? Still up until this point, you're not going to go to the top 5 or 10 streamers on Twitch and offer them $1 million and expect them to play it when they're earning 30 or 40 grand a day just streaming for 4 or 5 hours. They're not going to put their brands on the line to touch any metaverse related game where NFTs are at the fulcrum. And on top of that, Bored Ape being the largest one, they're going to have to work harder to bring people in, because people understand that they are the biggest NFT and aren't going to just jump into an NFT game. The smaller NFT games can hide the fact. Yeah, they can hide it. So I personally like what I saw. I'd love to get into the ecosystem if they ever make it to where anyone can join these demos and be a part of it. But I'm not spending $3,500 to play a playtest where I'm jumping around and shooting emojis out my ass.
Hey, I mean, some people are into paying $3,500 for that, man, or $35,000.
But you know who's into that kind of stuff? You know who's into that kind of junk, like doing that, paying that much money to be in kind of crazy shit like that? You know who?
People who play Diablo Immortals.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Look, okay, I'll just, since I was like, look, when I first saw the first test that they did last week, and it was just it was a blank white space. It had some really low poly guys. They're running around. There wasn't much going on. I was like, it's okay. Okay, that's great. You got a bunch of people in there, but it's super low res, so I could see how you could easily do that. And then people were like, oh, but you don't understand. People were commenting on my stream about a week ago when we talked about this. They're like, you don't understand, Stache. The big thing here is not necessarily that, oh, it looks great, it's a game. It's that they're doing these concurrent user tests where most multiplayer servers, you can only get maybe 100, 200 people on a map if you're lucky. But this one, they're saying, hey, 10,000, this one, they're thinking they could get 15,000, 20, who knows, with the technology they're working on right now. So the first test thing that we saw, I was like, not super impressive. But the play test, that shit was impressive, man, because not only was it, it was just this blank space where there's no, there's no loads, there's no things that are going on as far as what you would see in a game that are going to bring the actual load on a server, which is all the other polys that are there outside of your character, right? Which make up everything, the game experience, all the stuff that goes in with that. That bogs things down, and that's the reason why you can only have so many players on a server, because not only are you processing all the player data, right? But you have to process all of the environment data as well. And that tends to be a pretty big thing, in particular, depending on how detailed the game is. But the actual first trip test this weekend, it was like a full-on game, man. Like, you went in there, you're playing, and they had a mini boss in there. They had an actual fleshed out universe where you could walk around, and there were like 4,000 plus people playing all at once, doing this through a web browser. So the technology itself is actually really impressive in contrast to what we see today, where battle royale maps or MMOs can only have a certain amount of people in any given shard or any given server at one time because of these limitations. So I do love that side of things, and as soon as I kind of saw that, that's when I was like, all right, I'm in. Before that, I definitely was not on board. I saw where they're going, but the technology there that they're working with is pretty big, and I literally went out and I bought a floor other side deed like literally that morning after I saw a little bit of the playtest. I was like, that's enough for me to see that what they're doing, they're serious about it. The direction they're going is going to be legit. And the fact that, like what Brycent was saying, well, we don't know, is it going to be a game? Well, I think more it's going to be probably like a social metaverse where there's a bunch of experiences and there'll probably be some games and things in there. But I think that in general, that's where it would be the biggest benefit, is just being this social metaverse, because you can get so many people on in a server at one time, which is what you really need for a seamless metaverse, right? So once again, all these companies that are laying little stepping stones to lay the stepping stones for the technology that we need to truly create a full metaverse, like a Ready Player One style metaverse. Well, Improbable and Other Side are doing a little bit of that work here with being able to have technology that allows thousands and thousands and thousands of people to be able to play all at once on the same server, so you're not segregated. That's a big problem when it comes to multiplayer online games. So if Other Side and Improbable are going to be the ones that solve that in some sort of way, that is going to give them notoriety. But the biggest problem is what Brycent already put a little pin on, is the fact that it is closed right now. It is a closed system. And I get that because they're in development. So I think that they will ramp it up as they kind of get more going. But you're right. Right now, it is kind of like a bro fest. It's a ape fest, and it's like, if you own apes and you're great, you're in. But that's only going to go so far, and it's only going to get you so far in an industry. You're going to have to break it out into a larger audience and find a way to allow people to come in, that are not invested in the Bored Ape ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I think you're exactly right, Stache, and Brycent as well. And to your point, Bored Ape Yacht Club has basically staked their value on exclusivity. I mean, that's like the whole thing behind, that's the utility, right? Well, now there is more utility with other side coming, but I'm curious to see when one of the core or one of the like core tenets behind what a metaverse is inclusivity and bringing in seamless experiences from other IPs. What their goal is here with or what they're going to be doing with Other Side.
Well, hold on. I wouldn't say that the ideal or the ethos behind the metaverse is inclusivity. It's interoperability. You can still have exclusive experiences and all kind of gated stuff. It's just that it's interoperable. You can go back and forth. You don't have to get from system to system or download yet another game client or yet another wallet, or what I'm saying? Like having all these same closed systems for everything you do. So anyways, I just want to make that clear. I don't think it's about exclusivity or inclusivity, but about interoperability.
But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what Other Side starts to bring into the fold when it comes to like other IPs and things that they might work with, when their brand focuses a lot on exclusivity. So who knows? Maybe we see them start to work with like designer brands and things like that. So like they've got like the Gucci experience in the Bored Ape Yacht Club Other Side. You get your ape all decked out in the full, that full Gucci tracksuit to walk around the swamp in. But no, I mean, MTC, let me get your opinion. I mean, do you think that Bored Ape Yacht Club and Other Side, now that we've seen some of what they're actually going to bring to the table, is going to stay one of the top collections, or do you think that there's a chance that they could fall off?
Oof. Well, that's a pretty tense question there, Alex. Well, based on what they've done so far, they've maintained their status for a long time. And, they've had a little bumps in the road as we've gone over on the show before, but they always manage to make up for it. They always manage to plan ahead, and they always try to surprise everybody. I mean, just the sentiment at NFT NYC alone was insane with Ape Fest. Every day people were trying to go to Ape Fest. Everyone was trying to be a +1, and they have a huge following. So I do think that they're going to continue to develop. I don't think they're going anywhere. I mean, in this industry, you have to keep in mind that you have to keep up, and that as easy as you can build is as fast as the quick you could diminish, I guess. You could build up really fast but fall really quick, so you just need to be careful. I think they're going to make it, though. I think they're always going to try to maintain that status.
I mean, I hope so, because I Stache mentioned this in one of the videos we recently did on Bored Ape Yacht Club, but like it's almost like if they fail, the like Web3 fails, you know what I mean, to a certain degree.
I don't think so.
They well, I don't think so either, but I feel like having Bored Ape Yacht Club fail at this stage would would be a big lesson to a lot of the other companies looking to take their spot. But
well, what it does
Zueljin, I
is
mean,
look. So I don't know that it would take down all Web3, but what it would do is it in the eyes of the normies, right, the mainstream, it would definitely tarnish NFTs and crypto in general, because then they would say, look, see, I told you those monkey pictures were horrible and that no one was gonna like them and they were gonna crash. Like, it gives them that strong talking point of the biggest, most publicly available or like promoted NFT out there that people may know if they know anything about NFTs is probably Bored Apes. And then when they fail, that gives all the naysayers a little point to say, I told you so, see? And that's why you shouldn't do it. And that's why no one should do it in the future. And we're doing the same thing right now with Celsius, with,
I was just going to say that.
3AC, with a couple of, they're using this and they're going to say, oh, see, there you go. Crypto failed. We told you guys, now we got to come in and make sure that we're doing this right. And like, now we got our grubby little hands in it. And now we get to say that we were right this whole time. That's the worst thing that would really happen. Not that I think it would kill Web3 in general, but it would, in the eyes of a lot of these people, make them think like they're right, and then delay that opportunity that we have to try and onboard them here with actual good services.
I agree with that. I think that, like, I don't want to see BAYC fail, but I think that they need to do some things if they really want to attack enough of a gaming audience to not fail. And that involves doing more than what they're doing in terms of keeping things gated, regardless of the fact that you have holders. Well, you know what makes those holders even more happy? If their apes go up in value because more people are playing in your metaverse. I can tell you now, if they go to full launch and have less than 50 to 100,000, and that is low scale, $1 billion game launching and having less than 50 to 100,000 monthly active users is going to be a huge disappointment. So I think sooner rather than later, they should figure out how they're going to bring new users into the ecosystem. To be honest, if I was Yuga Labs, what I would do is say, guess what? Everyone can now mint an ape, like a non Bored Ape Yacht Club collection ape, for joining into this metaverse. And you join in the metaverse, they mint, maybe it's $100 or $200 ape, and then their ape starts to get certain characteristics and things as they start building. So now people are connected to their ape, and they're getting in at a number that is inclusive enough to bring people into the ecosystem, even though they can't afford the $100,000 or $200,000 ape. Now, guess what? A portion of that revenue can go back to holders of the real apes or holders of land and all these other things. I think at the end of the day, inclusivity is going to allow them to make more money than they would if they just kept things like completely siloed off. But we'll have to see. Like I said, I like the game. I like what they're doing. I'm not going to spend 30 grand to see what it looks like. I'll wait until they do come to the realization that they need regular people playing it to make it work. But I'm super impressed with what they're doing, actually.
Me and you are on the same page there, Brycent. I love it. So you have no idea. It's great.
You guys heard it here first, man. Stache fat fingered the market buy as soon as he saw that.
I didn't fat finger, but I did. I was like, you know what? I don't have, literally, I don't own any Bored Ape anything. And there's a reason for that, man. I'm a gamer, dude. And like, they weren't doing anything towards it. And like, in general, the art is not like, oh my God, it's amazing art. It never really like spoke to me in that kind of way where I'm like, oh, I love this. I like the community and I like the ecosystem that they're developing. And so when I saw this was enough to say, hey, now I want to be on board. And so I did. I just jumped in. I bought a floor other side deed, and now I can get on the next play test. And then what that really does too is allows me to cover from the inside. So even if Yuga Labs doesn't want to work with any content creators to like do any content because they figure like, screw it, we just have a bunch of holders, they'll do all the content creation for us. But at least this gives me the end to be able to go in and cover it for you guys here on the channel, so I can make sure to give you guys the first look. That's really the reason why I did it, to be perfectly honest. So,
what was the floor?
Secret Agent Stache undercover.
So I got mine for 2.8 ETH. I think it's like 2.89 right now is what it is.
Got it. Thank you.
It's
not out of reach.
Yeah, like
I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's not out of reach.
I think maybe
in terms of metaverse land, at least.
Yeah, I mean, if they were going to do something where everyone could get in and play, maybe they would do something on Polygon where everyone could just like own the same plain ape or something like that, and just have a free to play entry. That way, even kids could get into. Because if you're thinking of a 14-year-old kid, they're not going to pay 2.8 ETH to get into a game. So we need to. That's another thing. Like, a lot of, not just Bored Apes and Yuga Labs, but no NFT project or game is really aiming at the kids and saying, okay, what can the younger generation afford? Because that's who is going to really spearhead this space in a few years, or maybe
yes,
sooner.
100%.
What Bored Ape Yacht Club and Other Side need to do is they need to collaborate with Roblox and
That would be smart.
get Bored Apes in Roblox, and that's their ticket right there. No, but Zueljin, we haven't heard from you yet, man. Let me hear your thoughts on what you think Other Side's next move is. I mean, what do you
Throw it
think
down,
Bored Ape
Z.
Yacht Club and Other Side can do to continue the momentum they've created with this test?
Make a less curated generic experience. Look, I'm the naysayer. I'm sorry. Visually, I think it was technologically impressive. It looked like they had a lot of people in one place, which, as a gamer, I know there's a lot of complications in doing that. So congrats to them for that. But I've seen a lot of tech demos through MMORPGs and clustered servers and in general. And let me tell you something. A lot of people won't tell you this, but Unreal Engine looks 5. I don't Unreal Engine 5 looks fire no matter what it's showing to you. It's beautiful. So if they can harness those type of assets into a curated experience, you can streamline it to where it's not as technologically impressive as it may appear. They didn't have any custom avatars, and again, it was very much a curated experience from what I saw. Now, if I was a holder, I'd probably be really, really excited. But from a gamer outside looking in and just looking at the price tag on an Other Side access for it, I don't know. I wasn't tempted when I saw it. I was like, hey, they got some good stuff going on. Cool. But it wasn't something that it made me want to jump in. And I think it was just because it was a theme park experience, right? Which is very, very cool for like the social metaverse that y'all was saying. And the boss fight was a little bit cool too, but it reminded me of what Dom said. It looked like a beautiful Roblox experience. It looked like something that they built like a mini game, or like the sandbox would have put together to escort their holders through something to create excitement, more than something that would attract an outside person to say, I want to be part of that. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I mean, like we've all kind of mentioned, I don't know that we know really where this is going, right? So like what the end product is going to be, like what social
Right.
experiences there that are really going to make people want to participate and spend time more than an hour,
Correct.
right? Or 45 minutes running around the swamp, right? Like what's going to make people, holders and non-holders, want to spend 4 hours walking around playing with their board
Right.
apes and experiencing everything the swamp has to offer. I don't know that we know that what that is yet from them.
Right.
But I want to get your guys' thoughts on our last topic here, a little general session, kind of going over a lot of the stuff we've already kind of mentioned here in the stream. But what really is a metaverse? I mean, this term gets thrown around more than I think any of us care to want to hear, especially over the last 8 months. And especially when most of us, I think, would agree that there isn't really a true metaverse yet that is out there. We're getting some people that are getting kind of close, but I want to know what you guys think and what your definition of the metaverse is. MTC, let me start with you. What would you say your definition of the metaverse is?
A metaverse is an immersive experience that people can socialize in, trade things, and it's an overall free economy. If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, no, I mean
Short and
I
sweet.
think that's
Love
spot
it.
on. Yeah. Stache, what about you? I mean, what would you say your definition of the metaverse is?
I mean, I think the biggest term for me for metaverse is interconnectivity, right? Interoperability.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is that things all work with other things. Right now we have systems that don't vibe with each other, and that's not just in gaming. That's literally everything. That's like our
Yeah.
entire world. That's why we have so much bureaucracy. That's why shit takes so long. That's why our government sucks balls. I mean, there's just so much non-connectivity. The internet has really helped us to like push past that here, and it will continue to be the driver for this connectivity. But that, to me, that's really what a metaverse is. It's a interconnected experience that is seamless. And like right now, we don't really have much like that. But like what I consider a true metaverse is like Sandbox or Decentraland. These are platforms that were built to allow others to create connected experiences, so they all do mesh. Now, this the Sandbox outside of that metaverse doesn't connect with another metaverse, but eventually they will. But like the idea is that you have a set of tools that allow anybody to create in a world that is interoperable with itself. So my secret agent Stache game, you could use the same assets and the same avatar and the same whatever and go play, Sand Rush or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there is that interoperability because you can take your avatar across all these things and play all these things. It's all one world. But it's still basic because it's still a closed system itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all of you guys watching out there, if you haven't seen or read the book Ready Player One, it's like the most I think like one of the very like common examples of what a metaverse really is, and is very close, or is exactly kind of what Stache is describing. So check that out. But Zueljin, let me ask you, I mean, how do you think the metaverse evolves over the next 10 years? I mean, we're starting to see companies literally change and rebrand, billion-dollar companies rebrand their entire business to focus on this concept. How do you think we see it change over the next decade?
I mean, you're going to see people able to access these platforms in a very adaptive way, sort of like we started to be able to access web. I remember, this is going to show my age a little bit, but I remember when you had to have certain plugins or certain browsers to access certain web pages. And it would get to the point to where you really, really just wanted to see what you can do, So you download this different piece of software, sort of like installing a game client, but being able to access multiple instances, I guess you can call them, of Web3 or the metaverse, get into these sections of the metaverse where you can enjoy one game with these specific assets that you own, like an avatar, for instance, and then go into another place and enjoy a different experience with somewhat the same version of that avatar or their representation of the way your avatar is rendered in there. So if you would move from the other side, for instance, with this slick 3D avatar of maybe like an ape, and then you went to a sandbox experience and got to use that same avatar, but it would be a sandbox representation, right? It wouldn't be that good looking. I think it would be in general, like sort of like payment systems kind of like funneled into Visa and MasterCard. There's some other players naturally, but being able to use a certain amount and different types of currency within these ecosystems and being able to interface them through similar devices, computers, smartphones, VR headsets, whatever. I think that's kind of what it, like Stache said, interoperability, for instance, and being able to access all of these things with your own assets, being able to get value in multiple places from that. A digital identity.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. And I was thinking too, imagine how cool of a cinematic you could create from like the portal between other side to sandbox. Like
walking through from pixelated to like
that
would be cool, rendered and stuff.
Like your Bored Ape like looks at its hands and they're like turning into like voxels.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about. That cool hot shit is coming, man. We are leading the way. As creators, but so is the industry, man, and it's all coming. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
Woo.
I mean, hey, the dam has cracks in it, and it's about to break. Metaverses are about to take the world greater than, or the whole world, not just our little niche of Web3 enthusiasts, by storm. But Brycent, let me get your take on this. Do you think, and this is kind of a big one because as in general, society is moving more and more digital every day. And I'd say right now, things, in general in the world are, a bit interesting that, there's a lot of turmoil going on. Do you think the concept of the metaverse will be an overall positive thing or for society or a negative?
I think it'll be positive. I think right now, for most people, the metaverse, well, most people outside of Web3, the metaverse is meta, or whatever they're creating with the Meta Quest. And that's what most people think every metaverse experience should look like. I mean, I think that most of the metaverse is going to be social in general, and we're already living in it. I think across Twitter and Discord is probably where 75 to 80% of the metaverse actually lives. And it's just us interacting every day, where Twitter has become almost like our decentralized resume or our decentralized book, where people can kind of get a sense of who we are. So I think we live in the metaverse. And those metaverses that are game related are going to be the more in-depth versions of what we see on the surface from a social standpoint. But I think that ultimately it will take a while before we see people who are non-Web3 native really embracing what the metaverse, or this entire concept of what the metaverse could mean, has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully people kind of catch on sooner than later, because I know all of us out there who are in on the ground floor and are putting money in smart places and investing in the right projects are definitely going to see the fruits of their labor come, 5-10 years from now. And the concept of the metaverse, I think you're spot on, Brycent. I think the interconnectivity and the types of communities that are blooming in places like Discord and Twitter are really what, or these services are what are connecting people globally, and taking that from just being on Discord with your friends or just being in your group on Twitter to being able to move from those places seamlessly and into a game, into the sandbox, pulling up your Discord client while you're in VR in the sandbox and being able to type out to your friends, hey, come check out my experience, hop on over from, Decentraland, take the metaverse train over, right? That's really when we're going to see this thing start to take off. But this has been, we're running out of time here, folks, and it's been another great Monday, another great show. I want to thank y'all for tuning in and watching. I want to thank all y'all for coming on the show tonight, our guests, and don't forget to go check out their channels and all of their stuff in the description below. Go ahead and give their stuff a like and a subscribe. We got to support our Web3 creators, pushing the envelope here, educating people on what the metaverse could and will be. But that's all for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for joining, and this has been Around the Metaverse. We out.